All right, folks, we are getting there. We are getting there. So this problem is asking us to make a dictionary where the key in the dictionary is the worker's name, and the value stored under that key is a list of three items. Is a list of three items that includes the time that they clocked in, the time that they clocked out, and the total amount of time that they worked. So, for example, if I bring up a scratch pad real quick, it's going to be a dictionary where the key is going to be a worker's name. So in this case, we can call him George. And the value stored underneath George is going to be a list. And then the lists are going to be 3 digits, the time that he clocks in, the time that he clocks out, and the time that he, and the amount of time that he has worked so far. So, if he clocks in at 2 and clocks out at 5, then the third value should be equal to 3. It should be the difference. So I hope that makes sense. It's going to be, the key is going to be a name, the value is going to be a list with 3 digits inside of it, 3 integers inside of it. So we need to write 2 functions in order to do this. A function that clocks in, so it takes the dictionary of workers and the name of the workers as arguments. So it will take 3 arguments rather, the dictionary of workers, the name of the worker, and the time. So if you call clock in workers George 3, it should change George's first value in his list to 3. Clock out does a similar thing. If you call clock out workers George 5, it should change his second value to 5, and then change the third value equal to the total amount of time worked. So 3, 5, and 2 being the difference. 5 minus 3 equals 2. So we don't need to worry about making it actually accept written out time values like this. We can just take them as integers and take it on faith that the user is going to enter a proper integer between 0 and 24, right? Should be, or I guess 0 and 23. We can take it on faith that the user is going to do that. So they already have our main function and the call to main down here written out for us. So we can see that if we wrote a quick pass statement or comment these out, so we can run these and see that workers get George Spelvin returns 000, which is correct. And then at the end, workers get George Spelvin should return, what's it say here? 8, 17, and 9. So after we're done with these 2 functions that it's going to run on us, it should return 8, 17, and 9. So look at these calls that they've made. They have the dictionary, they have the worker's name, and they have the digit, the time, the end. So when we're making our functions, we need to make them look like that. We need to define clock in, and it's going to take a dictionary. Let's call it workers. No, can't call it worker. Let's call it worker dict for worker dictionary. It's going to take the worker name, and then it's going to take the time that they clock in. So, write our doc string real quick. Searches worker dict for name and sets clock in value time. Wait, there we go. Awesome. Let's get started. We want to first find our worker in the dictionary, right? We want to find our worker in the dictionary. So worker dict name should give us the name of the worker. right? Or should give us the entry for the worker. So we can work with that under a temporary variable. So we could call it info equals worker dict name, and then we want to, or we can even call it times equals worker dict name, and then we want to change the clock in time. So we want to change times 0, which is the first time in the list, to time for the clock in time. And then that's all we should need to do. We don't need to return anything because all we're doing is modifying a worker here. So if I comment out clock out and we run our program, we should see this first number change to 8. And it does. Very good. Very great. Great. So there's an issue here, and the issue is that if the user passes in a name that does not exist in the dictionary, it's going to error out. There are ways that we could work around that. We could instead set times equal to worker, what do I call it, worker dict, and then we could get that value from the worker dictionary like this. The only problem with that, I think, is that it won't actually let us do this if that is the case. Oh, no, it looks like it works. Okay, so that's a simple fix. So rather than indexing in via the key, we'll just call up get on worker dict with the name as our argument to get, and that should eliminate that possible key value issue. The other issue is this could return a non-workable or non-indexable value, because get, I think, returns -1 by default or something like that. I'm not sure what it returns by default. So we could simply make it so where we had an if statement that was something like if times, we could do if lane times doesn't equal 3. So if the thing that we get back from this call to get does not have 3 items in it, then we would want to simply return. Or, yeah, we would want to return. And we would want to return an error code, to be honest. We could return 0 or something like that, just because we want to make sure that we want to make sure that we know that, like, this, if we see that this function returns a value of 0, then, like, something's gone wrong. Or we could write a print statement, that says, hey, this messed up. Or we could write a while statement that prompts the user to keep entering until they get a correct entry, that sort of thing. So there are another number of options there that we could do to work around this. But for the scope of this problem, I don't think we need to work for it. Alright, so that's clock in. Clock out is very similar. In fact, almost exactly the same. I'll give it the same values here for the arguments. And then it's going to searches worker dict for name, and that's clock out and hours worked. There we go. So we'll just do this thing that we did earlier with times equals worker underscore dict dot get name. And then we want to set times 1, which is the clock out time, equal to time. And then we want to set times 2 equal to the difference between the two, the total hours worked, which is simply time 1 minus times 0. And that should be all we need to do. So let's save it. Let's run it. Oops. Let's actually uncomment out this line so it can actually do something. Save it, run it, and we see that it does work because this says it should print 817.9 and our version prints 817.9. So there we go. Nice and easy. Not nearly as difficult as these translations that we did, but important for understanding that dictionaries can contain lists of things as well as simply containing numbers or strings.